Hello, my name is Byron Costas. I'm head of the process automation team here at blackbook.ai. We're an Australian-based consulting firm specialising in the field of artificial intelligence and automation. And I'm really excited today to be sharing a topic that I'm very passionate about, which I think is fundamental to commencing any automation program, and that's the process of discovery. How do we find the right opportunities to automate? Now, what I'd like to do is, in terms of a bit of a template for today's session, is talk you through firstly the concept of the intelligent automation roadmap, touch on the automation lifecycle, talk you through what a typical discovery process looks like, what are some of the methods of identifying good opportunities to automate, and then really end with how do we prioritize those to ensure we've got a prioritized program of work which we can take to our business stakeholders. The automation landscape is evolving. Not only do organizations want to inject intelligence into their automation practices and processes, but vendors are now providing the ability to do so and do so relatively cheaply. So what does an intelligent automation roadmap look like? Typically, organizations will start with a traditional form of automation or rule-based automation, commonly referred to as robotic process automation. Now, as that organization progresses through their journey, they start to inject more intelligent automation techniques such as AI and machine learning. And this is where data becomes paramount. So when building your automation program, not only do you want to consider, are we automating the right opportunities or utilizing the right tool sets to automate those opportunities, but we must have a considered approach to data or a data strategy. Because the last thing you'd want is your program to suffer from data paralysis, where you've got too much data, not enough data, or just poor quality data, which would jeopardize your program. Some organizations will utilize RPA to actually identify data integrity issues through their journey, but also use RPA to conduct some of the data cleansing exercises throughout their program. Now that we have an appreciation for the automation landscape, it's about how do we get started? What's the automation lifecycle look like? So what you have in front of you here is a standard delivery lifecycle. Idea, planning, implement, embed. But I guess really the first phase is fundamental, because that's where we educate our sponsors and gain their support and buy-in. So really, when I say education, it's educating yourself and those around you in terms of these automation technologies. And we do that typically via a proof of concept. So proving that technology can work within your organizational context and deliver the value you seek. But it's also about engaging those key stakeholders from a delivery perspective. So IT is fundamental here because they'll be crucial in delivering your automation program. So once you have that initial buy-in and support, it's about discovering opportunities to automate. And this is the discovery process and the focus really of today's session. Identifying the right opportunities, identifying the right automation technologies, and starting to build up your business case for your automation program and secure the appropriate funding. Once that funding's been approved, we head into our planning phase, which is really just planning out the delivery of your opportunities. But the key things I'd like to mention here is ensuring you secure the right capability, the right partner to help you deliver on your automation program. But also start to consider your data components, but also your change management. How do we keep our stakeholders engaged throughout the process? Then we head into execution to delivering on that program. Once again, change is fundamental. And then finally, once we've embedded those opportunities into your business as usual, it's about reflecting on what did we do well, how can we improve on things? And also starting to consider your next phase of your intelligent automation journey. The discovery process is a really quick way to build your automation pipeline. And typically it's something that would run over 3 to 4 weeks. The first stage really is about those initial kickoff sessions where we engage the relevant management, educate them on the technology and what the plan of the engagement looks like. The second phase then is where all the fun begins around identification. Now, there's a couple of ways for us to approach this. One is more of a consultative process where we run workshops with key SMEs to generate and brainstorm ideas for automation. Or alternatively, there's, more data-driven approaches where we use techniques such as process mining and task mining, which I'll explain a little bit further in the next couple of slides. And ultimately, once we've identified a good bunch of initiatives, we run a preliminary assessment on that to say, look, are these good opportunities to automate? Are they suitable for automation? And what do we think the benefits profile is going to be? The third phase is really when once we've made that initial cut through the preliminary assessment, is really deep diving on those good opportunities, those nuggets. And really that's where we revalidate the suitability, the readiness for automation, and also firm up what benefits position is going to be. Then the final stage is really about, once we've identified those good opportunities for automation, what will it cost to implement? So what's the t-shirt sizing around it? And then finally, we package that up into a presentation pack and present that to the relevant sponsors and stakeholders for endorsement. So in terms of generating ideas, we fundamentally use two different approaches. One's a consultative approach and the other is data-driven. Now, the consultative approach effectively is just running workshops with your process SMEs to generate ideas. However, before we conduct those workshops, we do quite a bit of preliminary work. Firstly, we understand your automation objectives, your organizational context, and then we overlay, our experiences with automation and our domain and industry experience, which really helps us target particular areas within your organization that will be suitable candidates for automation. Then once we've identified those target areas, we'll provide some, pre-workshop homework, so get them starting to generate some ideas. So those workshops really are effectively around validation. So are these suitable for automation? We run those workshops, we generate the ideas, we assess those ideas, and then effectively we've built a nice pipeline for our preliminary assessment. The second approach to identification is data-driven, and typically we use two techniques. The first is through the front end, or what we call task mining, where we deploy a piece of software onto your staff member's PC and it records the processes they perform during the day. And there's some built-in smarts that effectively identify the good opportunities for automation around, for example, efforts, looking for frequency and repetitive processes. This is often considered a less intrusive process and may surface sort of hidden processes that we might not discover during a consultative approach. The second technique is process mining, which is effectively looking for opportunities via the back end. So we utilize application logs to identify, areas where there's blockages or lots of effort being expended on a process. Look, often we'll use a combination of a consultative approach and a data-driven approach during a discovery exercise. And the reason we do that is, I think consultative is a great way to keep staff members engaged through the process, but the data-driven approach also provides an element and an assurance, to the organisations that we have a very scientific approach to identification. So once we've got a good list of opportunities, then it's about conducting that preliminary assessment. And by conducting that preliminary assessment, we can then focus on the highly suitable and the high value opportunities, which is particularly important early on in an automation program because you want to be delivering value quickly to your sponsors. So in terms of applying a suitability and readiness criteria, we'll look for processes that are stable and mature, because the last thing we want is for a process to be automated and it's superseded by a system upgrade. We've got highly repetitive, high volume, high effort initiatives because typically they'll generate good returned hours for us. Highly structured, so we want it in a digital format because it's easier to automate. And finally, is there a defined logic? We don't want a lot of cognitive thought involved in our processes. What we then apply is a rating scale. So 5 meaning highly optimal, 1 not optimal to each of these criteria for that process. So then effectively we can determine what the suitability and readiness rating is for that initiative. Then we apply a similar process to the value proposition. However, the value proposition is influenced by the organisation and their automation objectives. For example, they may wish to focus on improving opportunities that improve customer satisfaction. And once again, we'll apply a rating scale here, 5 being high impact, 1 being no impact. So once we've done that preliminary assessment, we've already identified the opportunities we want to focus on for a deep dive session, where we observe the process, we validate the suitability and readiness. We also validate the benefits. But also, it's about us determining how much it will cost to implement that process. And once we've completed that deep dive, we've really got the 3 key components of a business case. We know it's suitable and ready for automation, we know there's a good value proposition, and we know what it's going to cost us to implement it. So then effectively, you've got a good prioritised pipeline of work for you to proceed to the next phase of your automation journey.
And that concludes our discussion on the discovery process. The key takeaway from today's session is that a discovery is fundamental to your automation program. Not only will it help you identify the right opportunities to automate, but it'll increase your likelihood that you'll achieve your return on investment. Here at Blackbook.ai, we've automated over 300 processes within Australia and bring a wealth of knowledge and experience to assist you with your automation program. Should you wish to undertake a discovery process, please do not hesitate to contact Jason Sims on 0417 054 096, or should you wish to view some of our case studies, please do not hesitate to go to our website on www.blackbook.ai. Thank you.